All right, so the next topic I want to talk about is how to invite, okay? Whether it be to a presentation, to take a look at a tool, or maybe it's an in-person event or an online event, you're asking someone to invite them to come and take a look at the information you have, okay? And a proper invitation is not about convincing someone, explaining the entire business or everything about the product or pressuring them to say yes in any way whatsoever. We don't build this business by being pushy or putting pressure on people. It's simply about creating enough curiosity for them to take a look at a tool, hear a story, or have a conversation. Your goal is simply to invite, not present, okay? The first step is knowing what you're inviting them to actually take a look at. Is it a live presentation on Zoom? Is it to watch a short product overview or a short business overview? Or is it to watch, a full product and business overview? What are you asking them to take a look for? And one of the biggest mistakes people make is giving too much information in that first message. They explain the products, the company, the compensation plan, the entire story, and every possible benefit. By the time they're done, the person you're talking to, that prospect, is so overwhelmed, or they feel they've already heard enough to make a decision, okay? And so it's very important that we keep the invitation short, simple, and natural, okay? Start by thinking about the person you're inviting. What do you know about them? Are they interested in health? Why do you think about them? Are they busy parents looking for more time? Do they want more flexibility? Do they have some financial strains they've disclosed to you? Make that invitation about, what may matter to them, not just what you want to tell them, because it's always about the new person. It's always about how you can serve them, okay? Then ask permission. You can say, hey, I thought of you because you mentioned wanting to improve your health. I came across a short video that explains something I think you may find very interesting. Would you be open to taking a look at it? Or, if it's to look at the business, you might say, hey, I know you're really ambitious and you're always looking for ways to create more options for your family. I'm currently building something alongside what I already do. I've got a short overview that explains it better than I could through a text. Would you be open to take a look at it? Now, notice what that does. You're not making huge promises. You're not claiming they'll make a certain amount of money. You're simply asking whether or not they're open to seeing some information, okay? You can give them an easy out too. You can say, no pressure at all. If it's not for you, that's completely fine. I just thought you might be open to seeing it. And giving someone some room to say no, it diffuses all the pressure in the situation and keeps the relationship intact. Because the last thing we want to do is ruin, relationships, okay? A respectful invitation is about curiosity, not cornering and coercing someone into making a decision, okay? And once they say yes, they are open, you need to set up a clear next step. Don't just say, oh, I'll send it over sometime. Say, awesome, it's about 5 minutes long. When would be a good time for you to watch it? Tonight or tomorrow? And after you watch it, let's take a couple minutes to catch up. I'd love to hear what stood out to you or what you liked most. Just by saying that, it creates an actual appointment and makes a follow-up easy. And then when you follow up, you don't have to ask, so what do you think? You can ask them, you don't want to, that'll give you like a vague response. You need to ask a very specific question. What stood out to you the most? The product side, what stood out to you the most? Or what did you find the most interesting? Or what did you like most about what you saw? Or, you could say, after watching that, do you see that this is something that could be a good fit for you or not really? I'm just kind of curious. So you need to make it short, make it personal, create curiosity. You need to ask permission first, use a tool, and then set up a follow-up time, okay? Then let them decide without pressure, guys. We don't build this business by pressuring people. The best invitation does not make you sound like an expert salesperson. Don't forget who you are and don't stop being who you are just because you now have a business. It makes you sound like a real person who saw something valuable, okay? You thought of someone that you care about and respectfully gave them an opportunity to take a look at something that could help them too. So that's how I want you to think about the invite here, and it's definitely a skill you're going to build over time and get better and better with more reps.